All right, Miles, let's talk New Orleans Saints a little bit. Obviously, the Saints made a big splash this offseason. They bring in Derek Carr into the fold, into the Big Easy. He's obviously a big upgrade at the quarterback position from what they've had since Drew Brees left for greener pastures in retirement. But there's some new news out of New Orleans about a big, even potentially just as big move going on with the Saints that could be incredibly pivotal to this offense going into 2023.
Yeah, Nick. And when you think of Saints over the past few years, you think of really, really great offenses. Just like you said, the offense is a point of contention. This year, you think of the years with Drew Brees, and that makes you think of who is the quintessential Saint. Obviously, for me, when I think about it, my generation, it's going to be Drew Brees, but there's a lot of really, really great answers out there. Who is the guy that when they don the black and gold uniform, they put on that Saints jersey, that is the person you think of when you think New Orleans Saints. So let us know in the comments below who your quintessential New Orleans Saints is, Nick. But what is the big move that is bouncing around down in New Orleans?
Yeah, real quick, Miles, before I get into that, I think for me it was Joe Horn. I love watching him growing up from the Saints, catching touchdowns from Aaron Brooks. I thought that was kind of a fun player, never really got his due of the elite athlete that he was, and his son's actually a heck of a player as well, a cornerback. But speaking of big-time playmakers and receivers, obviously the Saints addressed Derek Carr, they addressed the quarterback position, but now the big thing right in front of them is Michael Thomas and the situation with that. Obviously, he's got a big contract. When healthy, he's elite. The problem, he hasn't been healthy, but there's good news on that front regarding the contract between Thomas and the Saints. This was compiled by Pro Football Talk, which is, of course, part of NBC Sports. The report said Nick Underhill of New Orleans Not Football reports the Saints have made, quote, progress recently, unquote, in conversations with Michael Thomas's representation about a new contract. Underhill adds that a deal is, quote, not done yet, but talks are productive. Thomas helped recruit Derek Carr, who selected the Saints over the Jets. Thomas's restructured contract from January calls for the Saints to pay a $31.7 million roster bonus if he's on the roster March 17th. He won't be on the roster March 17th absent a new deal. I think it's 100% right on the money by Pro Football Talk. Basically, the restructuring that the Saints did back in January bought them some time. Now, of course, the deadlines make deals, as Andrew Brandt likes to say. They have 8 days or 7 days at this point to figure it out. By the time we're recording this, 7 days to figure out what to do with Thomas if they can restructure that contract. Otherwise, he will be cut. Miles, I think the fact that there's productive talks and things are heading in the right direction is a great sign, because Michael Thomas is a legitimate superstar wide receiver. People forgot how good this guy was. What he had 149 catches, 1,700 yards in 2019. Yeah, he was unbelievable that season. He was elite. It was an all-time great season in the history of professional football. But unfortunately, injuries and some other issues have kept him off the field. Now that Derek Carr is back, or Derek Carr is into the fold, he has an elite level quarterback. He has a great running mate in Chris Olave. They've got obviously a solid offensive line with some young and some veteran pieces. I think getting a deal done with Michael Thomas, figuring out a way to restructure that deal so they can help him out, keep him on the team, is massive for New Orleans going forward. And I really like the positive vibes that they're heading in that direction.
Yeah, Nick, I think one thing you touched on here is the veteran presence of Michael Thomas, and that is so huge. With the receiver room with the Saints, you got, Rashid Shaheed, a rookie as well, alongside Chris Olave. And then you got the 2018 guy, Traquan Smith, who's okay. He's not bad. He's a decent slot per se. But the Saints really could use a big time veteran presence, a guy who's been there, a guy who's done it all, and a guy like Michael Thomas, an all pro, a guy who's been to the highest highs of the NFL. A guy like that would be huge for a guy like Chris Olave and his growth and development. So keeping him around, I think that's really, really important. And if they can work on, that's the one thing they have on Thomas is his inability to stay healthy the last couple of years. Kind of forgotten. He's gone to the back burner with a lot of teams. Probably he's been on the back burner in my mind. I like you said, we forget that he was like a top 5 receiver when he was playing in the NFL at full speed. So maybe they get him for a little bit of a bargain here. Like you said, deadline's coming up. That's when the big deals get done. I think this would be really interesting to see if they can finally nail something out. And I really would like to see Thomas return because I think he could do a lot for this very, very young receiver group in New Orleans.
And I think they'll be able to work something out because Thomas was very active in recruiting Derek Carr. I forgot what Thomas has tweeted, but he was very excited when Derek Carr did agree to come to the Saints. I think Thomas got frustrated the last couple of years when he was playing with the mediocre, to be quite frank, quarterback play at that position that the Saints had ever since Brees retired. Obviously, with Brees, I mean, the numbers Thomas put up were unreal. 3 straight 100-catch season, NFL record, 149 catches in 2019. Heck, his rookie year, he had 92 catches. I mean, he was on first ballot Hall of Fame track the first 5 years of his career. career, first 4 years of his career before the injuries came into the fold. I think he wants to get the deal done because I think he wants to get his career back on track. He knows where the highest highs are because he was there. He thinks Derek Carr can get him back. That's why he recruited Carr. And I think that's why he's being very forthright with the Saints trying to get it done. And one thing you can say about Saints GM Mickey Loomis, he finds a way to get around cap problems like nobody's business. I think people have been saying since 2011 the Saints are just going to blow up the roster because of salary cap concerns, yet they keep finding a way to keep plugging along. The salary cap hell never really seems to hit them. I think it's going to work out well, and I think the Saints fans have a reason to be excited. Getting Michael Thomas back into the fold, with pairing them with Derek Carr, Chris Olave, this offense is going to be just incredibly explosive.